I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Tainter Lake Rehabilitation District. It is 5:01. Let me see. Let me bring up the agenda. First order of business is the approval of the regular meeting minutes of 4/17. And I don't believe there were any committee meeting minutes that were submitted. So it would be just the regular meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes of 4/17/25.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve the meeting minute or the agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Our voting and safety committee meeting, our minutes were submitted. At least Bob sent it to everybody.
Did they?
Yeah. you did.
I didn't see it, but
Wow, right.
let me double check to make sure I got it, and then we can approve those. When did,
May 1st, they were sent.
oh, okay, yep, I got them. Everybody take a moment to look them over. Okay, is there a motion to approve the voting and safety minutes from April 30th?
I'll make a motion.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the May 30th voting and safety committee minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no educational speaker. Recognition of visitors. Let the record show that Bob Batchelor is our only person in attendance. Bob, did you have anything you wanted to address the board or comments? You're good? All right. There's no, I did invite Lori and Jim Lewis and somebody else to the meeting to recognize them. And so at this point, I would like to recognize them for their contribution at the to the last or recently grant. That was the check that we've been waiting for quite some time.
Yep, it's deposited in the account now, so thanks again to Jim and Lori.
And I'd like to thank them also publicly. Commissioner communication, anybody want to communicate anything? The only thing I have to communicate is that I met with Kip Boy to discuss the marketing and communication plan that he sent to everybody. Look that over. I think it's well done and it's in line with where we're going. It moves our operation and our focus, it moves it to the next level. And so Kip and I are gonna be working on that in the near future. So we'll keep you informed as to what takes place with that. And besides that, it's a part of our strategic plan. Treasurer's report.
Sorry, I'm acting as the secretary and the treasurer today, so I had to finish my notes. I emailed this income statement out to all of you this afternoon. Checking account has $54,007.07 in it as of today. And the savings account has $1,135.21 in it. I did not get a chance to move the donated funds into the accounts at Wasnakaiki. This month got busy for me, so try to get that done before next month's meeting. Other than that, not a lot of action in May, so we're right on schedule with where we need to be.
Are there any areas that should be concerned about?
I don't think so. We've gotten just about all the township checks in that I would have expected to have. If has anyone checked the PO box lately?
There is a Dunn County reminder in there.
Okay. So there might be a follow-up to do. I gotta pull that up. I'll follow up on making sure that we have all the checks that we should have from the townships.
Do we get a delayed check in August?
Yes, we get delayed check in
And you
August.
know how much that is?
I have it.
Someplace?
I have it here. I have to look it up.
That's okay. Just as long as there's still a little bit more money coming in.
Yes, there is. Let's see.
Should be about what, 17,000?
So we should be getting some April payments in. Those are usually pretty small, and August payments. So it looks to me like we have almost 20,000 yet to come in over
That's
the
even-
course of this year.
That's even better.
Yep. So
The only reason why I say that is because we levied 62,000 and I'm looking at 45,000 that we've collected so far.
yep.
I was just to make sure that we can get to the end of the year.
I remember this happened last year too with these April and August payments, is I think it's kind of new to the each township clerk, and so it was a little bit of a chore to chase them all down. But I got to, if there was nothing in the mail for me this month, then I need to reach out to
Okay,
a couple of them, well, pretty much all of them for the April check. And then one, I haven't seen the February one either, so
okay,
I'll send some emails to get to the bottom of it.
all right. Good, yeah. Well, it should be no different than the school district. You know, it's the same,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's the same deal, but
Yeah, it was this way last year too, so I just will have to see what's going on with it.
okay. Any other questions of the income? And maybe we could change that to income and expense statement? Because it's more than just the income statement.
In accounting, it's called an income statement, but
okay.
we can call it whatever
Whatever
we want.
Okay, whatever. Any other questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the income statement for May.
So moved.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's been a motion and second to approve the our statement of accounts with checking balance of 54,007.07. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. Jim, you want to start?
Yes, hold on a second. Agenda, there we go. Okay. So we met on April 30th and, we had, we talked a little bit about, the, buoy placement. One of the things that seems to be a strong opinion is already with the no wake area is having a meeting to kind of discuss whether or not people want to change that. So we actually at our next meeting are going to talk about having that on the agenda and giving people plenty of opportunity to talk about that. We also talked about there's been a delay in the buoys as far as ordering. They're on back order, so we're using kind of the existing ones until we can replace the older ones, especially the where we want to have the entrance and the exit of the no wake zone kind of clearly marked. We also talked about the boat landing, as far as, the signage. There are no county rules or regulations about signs and the sizes and how that's done. And we can put them up ourselves. So it's full steam ahead. So we're kind of working on, some design ideas and we'll be talking about that at our next, meeting. Let's see what else. But our biggest agenda item is going to be talking about potential expansion of the slow no wake zone, getting people's input on that already. And if we decide to go forward, what that's going to take. And that'll be same process that it took kind of to do the slow no wake zone ordinance in the first place, except for we won't be creating a new ordinance. We would just be basically applying with the DNR to have the existing zone changed. So it wouldn't be quite the process. So I think that's the gist of it, Bob. Okay, he typed up the minutes, so that's, at our next meeting, we've been trying to, be at a standard, meeting date and day, which is gonna be like the first Wednesday of the month. However, there were enough people that weren't gonna be potentially available the first, Wednesday of June, so we're actually having it at the end of May. Just because, especially a couple of the board members that are most interested in the changing the boundary of the slow no wake zone wouldn't be available then. So our next meeting is going to be May 28th. That's my report.
Just to let you know, we still have a subscription this year to SurveyMonkey. And if you wanted to put a survey out, that's certainly a tool that you can use, just to remind you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just, I'd be willing to participate in that if you would like. Let me see, sedimentation, Tom's not here. I don't know, they're still working with I know the county's working with the landowner. And they're trying to, put together a study, for that, sandbank that's across from Dobbs Landing. And so that's kind of where that's at, aquatic vegetation. Adam, anything to report?
I had a call with Matt Miller. We talked about this last meeting with he's the FERC licensing coordinator for
Yep.
Xcel Energy.
Yep.
I also kind of, when I was talking with the fish biologist Casey, talked about kind of that perspective, and she seemed to be pretty in favor of that. Anyways, I'm working on a meeting at the Tainter Town Hall with Matt Miller. He's included Cheryl Latch, the DNR FERC coordinator, in these emails, and I'm waiting to hear back from him, but it sounds like potentially June 16th or 18th are two possible dates, and the town hall is open, and that's where we would do it at 5 o'clock. So those are the two prospective dates I have floating out there, but I'm waiting for a confirmation email from him.
Okay,
So tentatively, maybe look at your guys' schedules for those dates, and if it wouldn't work for a bunch of us, we could
well,
look at something else.
yeah, you just go with what, the important part is to get you there and,
Yeah, but I think this is kind of affects all of our subcommittees.
16th to the 18th, that's a Monday or a Wednesday, so,
Correct. So I'll let you know when I hear from him.
okay.
And I think everything else I'll hold for your next discussion point. Does
Okay.
that sound appropriate?
Sure.
Okay.
Um, water quality?
We have our next meeting a week from tonight on the 22nd, 5 p.m. at Tainter Town Hall. And we're moving forward on our kind of state of the water quality on Tainter. A couple of town hall type meetings on Monday, July 14th at 5 o'clock, and Saturday, July 19th at 5 o'clock, or at 9 a.m. on Saturday. And we're going to talk about shoreline do's and don'ts, zebra mussels, outside fertilizer companies. There's a 7-minute great video on the dangers of wakeboarding boats. That's going to probably wake everybody up. And I'm going to do the introduction and conclusion and talk about why chemicals won't work on Tainter Lake. So it should be interesting meetings, and we're looking forward to it.
Good. Good. Um, Grant?
Our next fundraising committee meeting got pushed back to May 28th. So not a lot to update on. Sounds like Jane was able to work with Elk Point to set up a date for a fall fundraising event. So that will be September 20th. And so, yeah, between the last meeting and this meeting, we haven't gotten together again. That'll happen on the 28th.
All right, so put September 20th in your calendars for the next fundraiser. Thank you. The only thing I have with community connections would be the communication plan. So Kip is working through that with me. And so we'll keep you guys informed of what's taking place. Okay, anything else on committee reports? Okay, moving forward, approval of the strategic plan. I sent that out.
I was in front of you there for the discussion of the permitting process. Point two. Let's have a different version of your agenda.
I have the same one that you do.
Yeah, this was sent out a week or two ago.
Okay, is that the one that was posted? Okay, I guess, I don't know, this is the second time this has happened.
Here,
Okay.
Well, you can kind of
Well,
quarterback off of mine from
What
here.
is, okay, approval of the, or discussion, oh, that's right, you wanted to talk about that, all right.
Yeah, so this is based on our permitting for aquatic vegetation harvesting with the DNR. And we've kind of been working through that all spring. I believe I sent the map overlays to the whole board, I don't know, a month and a half ago. Those maps are what went with the permit application along with every riparian name, address along those shorelines, which was a pretty extensive document to produce. The DNR declined our harvesting permit, based on the size of the maps in the harvesting area. And they didn't like our dates of harvest. Our initial plan was to do session 1, June 23rd, for 7 days, and session 2, July 21st for 7 days. So they said they did not, and this was influenced by the fish biologists, that they did not want us harvesting at all in June. I think it's gonna be a pretty experimental year, and I plan to get the fish biologist and Tyler out on the water to see it firsthand, to see kind of the progress of plant growth. We've reapplied. We seem to be getting some special attention. Aquatic Plant Management has said that they've never had to reapply for a permit. Typically, they just make map addendums for the DNR. But we were reimbursed our $300 for the initial permit and then reapplied. So that's unique for us. The tentative harvesting dates now are, the first one is July 7th and the second one is August 11th. And I've had discussion with the fish biologist, and Tyler with the DNR. Talked to him today. He thinks that permit should be approved on Monday. And I spoke with him. I feel like that second harvesting session is pretty late, and I think it's gonna be picking up a lot of uprooted plants, kind of go around the lake. So he seemed pretty open to that. But I think they're gonna be out there and kind of keeping an eye on us. Yeah, so, and then as far as, you know, the time frame of harvesting, that was pretty influenced by the fish biologist, and Aquatic Plant Management said they've never had that influence with mechanical harvesting. They have with herbicide application, but not cutting, where they've had habitat concerns with mechanical harvesting. So that was kind of specific to us too, so. And I think being a newer organization, maybe we're getting a little extra attention, so.
The thought that I raise is on our contract, if we don't harvest till August, are they gonna, and if it is a, are they gonna, what happens if they come under the amount of time? Or are they gonna go right up to the amount of time? You know, in other words, so we got 14 days. What happens in that August one? It doesn't take them 14 days.
So I have requested with them that they put more efforts into the first one. Like if they can allocate hours from the second harvest to the first harvest.
Okay,
I kind of encourage that with them. I think it's gonna be like day to day with the DNR, you know, and
Okay.
that, you know, Chuck emailed them last August when this plan passed at the annual meeting, you know, so I think they've known our budget and our duration of harvesting wishes since last summer. Aquatic Plant Management seems very immune to like
being flexible.
being flexible, and yeah, and which they proved by altering their whole summer schedule and giving us
Okay,
some different sessions, so, and I would think if like we fall short or something, you know, we can work that out with them, I think, but we'll
Okay.
see. So I think they have plenty of work, you know, so.
all right. Any other questions on aquatic vegetation harvesting?
I think Adam's really done a good job. It's just, if you follow the trail from the DNR, it's been pretty frustrating for me just looking at it, let alone having to do all the work that Adam's done. So I think you've done a good job.
Yeah, just, and that's one of the reasons why we put it on here, is to recognize the fact that Adam's applied for this permit twice, and it's not just like making a little drawing and filling out 5 lines. He had to go through and put down every property around the lake and everything else.
I'll send you guys the updated maps, and I think I sent where you guys could check on the permit. On the first permit, like the link to the DNR site, and those maps are on that, but I'll get that out to the board, just so everyone has the new maps that were created.
All right. Just, a note, does anybody have a map of the Lake District?
I saw it, it's about 2 days ago. If you Google Tainter Lake, map of Tainter Lake Rehabilitation District, it'll come up, and it comes up on, in a Adobe with all the different colors and, sections that Pete had set up. If you can't find it, let me know and I could dig it up again, cause I just saw it 2 days ago. But it just, and it comes up via AI, and I just clicked on it and bang, it came right up.
Okay, because I had an email from one of the city planners. And one of the departments at the state has our Lake District going all the way to Lake Minoman. Okay. If you-
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen this before.
If you would email that to me, I'd appreciate that. If you just, so I can send it to him, because he keeps telling Madison that it's not to Lake Minoman.
Oh, yeah, interesting, because I see it goes into, I was always wondering how far into the Hay River it went. Because technically that's not considered Tainter Lake.
Right. Um, okay, anything else on aquatic vegetation? Okay, on my agenda, I have strategic plan. Is that what you have?
Yes,
what
that's the
I
next
have.
thing.
Okay. Strategic plan. Any questions, proposals, or changes? Yeah, that's what I got. Okay, any? If nobody has, I've sent this thing out to you guys about 10 times, and so you're probably tired of looking at it. I'd like it approved, and that's our game plan, so I'll make a motion to approve the strategic plan. For 2025 to 2030.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Our projects, if other projects arise and they're not in the strategic plan, is that an issue?
No, because I've already scheduled in February a review of the plan. And then at that review, if we have stuff that we're gonna add, change, or whatever, the way I do a strategic plan is that it's called PDSA, Plan Do Study Act. You take and, once a year you go through that. You check off those that you've done, you add those things that you're gonna do in the next year. You modify it and change it. So it's every year, you open it up and to revision. So, does that answer your question? So if you guys think of something else, we can add it. But realize if you add something, you gotta have a justification for it. Okay? All right, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pete, I have sent you 10 emails and they all bounce back, but I finally, here's your, I was trying to get you a strategic plan so that you could see what the final version was. But I gotta check with you to make sure that there's, that I have your correct email, but it came back. Well, that's okay. I was gonna give it to Greta to run over, but she was pretty tired after yesterday's ball game, so. Okay. Moving on. Approval of board policy regarding document storage and retention. Dunn County Land and Water Conservation will house our documents for free up until 8 banker boxes. After 8 banker boxes, they're going to charge us. Right now, I don't think we'd have more than 3 skinny files, but it'll take us a while to get to 8 banker boxes, but they said that they would take, and we're just waiting for a contract. So I put that in, you can see down at the bottom of the policy that I put in there that the that the treasurer and the secretary are in charge of those, making sure that we got the right documents in there. Okay? So, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept the document storage and retention policy.
Second.
There's been a motion and second to accept the retention and document storage policy. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of policy regarding commissioner participation in meetings virtually. We have the capability most of the time, if we meet in this room, to meet virtually. I had talked to the attorney at the Lakes and Rivers Conference, and he said that it is totally legal to do that, because at one time it wasn't legal, but COVID changed a lot of things. But they basically said you should have a policy. So I put together a policy, and basically it says that unless we can't meet here, I mean, I would assume that we can't meet in person. That would be something like the pandemic where we were ordered not to meet. People are expected to be at the board meeting in this format. This is the traditional format. But if for some reason you can't be it, you can participate and you can vote. The other thing is, it also states that you're responsible for your own technology on your end, and that if for some reason, like you're traveling in a car or something, and you go in and out, then we're not going to wait the meeting for you to participate. That's basically all it says. And I guess I'm not looking for approval at this point. I'm looking for discussion. Or is there anything we should add, or if there's concerns, whatever. Jim, you probably had the most experience with this with the county.
Yeah, and I was quite surprised at how well some of those old retired farmers were all zooming with the best of them on their computers, and almost all of them knew how to turn off their mic and when there was a dog barking in the background. So, but yeah, it works well, especially for participation. I think where it really helps out is in committees. If, we've had a couple of our boating and safety committees where we've had at least one member who's has been traveling, but she still wanted to participate, so she was able to participate because I set up a laptop and she was able to zoom in and hear the meeting, and people could hear her and she could participate. So it's a good policy to have, and it really helped out at the county when we were able to do it. And then that's continued that after COVID, it helped, you could still participate. They actually had a remote policy prior to COVID where people could call in and hear and have their audio from their phone call, but it wasn't as effective as having a Zoom meeting where you can share screens and documents.
Well, right, and just like this, with the screen up there, you can see what people are doing and you hear the more of the discussion. So that's, do you think there's anything we need to change on this policy? Is there anything we need to add? It's, the one I copied it from, referenced a lot of, their other policies into voting and what constitutes a vote. And I didn't want to go that deep into the weeds. I just wanted it to say, the expectation is that this is the board meeting. If you can't be here, you can participate via Zoom if you want to. And then you can vote. And we're all agreed on that. So that's just, I kind of kept it simple. Anybody have anything else to add? Anna?
No, I like it. I mean, there's definitely a couple a year I can't make, like, I think that'll be the norm for me. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And the reason why it gets to be important is because like right now, we're down one member. And Tom's gone. So we gotta have a quorum. So we always have to have a meeting, we have to have 4 people. Well, if somebody can zoom in, then, that helps our quorum. Okay? So, I will put it on the next agenda, for approval. But I just think that it's good to have a discussion on a policy and then vote on it the next time, instead of just throwing a policy there and say, oh, quick vote. So I'll put it on the next agenda. Okay. Any other discussion on that? I don't want to belabor the point. Okay, Chuck Chuck and I actually met with the guys from the limnology department. And we asked them about water testing because well, Chuck is our water tester and he has 2 sites on the big lake. And I had asked if we could have one on the lower lake because I was curious to see what the difference between the 2 lakes are. The DNR canceled one of the testing sites on the upper lake and said no to the addition of one on the lower lake. So the question we asked the limnology department, Andrew at UW Stout, was, so how much would it cost? And Chuck's put those figures together, and I will turn it over to Chuck to kind of speak to the rest of it.
Yeah, I'd like to spend $546 this year on that lower Tainter site. We'd spend $249 with UW Stout that Al talked about for 3 phosphorus and chlorophyll water samples at that lower Tainter site. Then we'd spend $297 with UW Stevens Point on 3 water samples for nitrogen on lower Tainter. So that's that total of 546. We actually got 3 free samples coming from the DNR for upper Tainter on nitrogen. So we can compare the nitrogen levels then if we spend that money. So I'm asking for $546 this year. And just as a side note, I've been working on a dissolved oxygen meter. I got one from my supervisor. It didn't work. And now I'm working with Tyler Mezok. He says they take dissolved oxygen readings on Tainter already, but I can't find them anywhere. I think they're in the meter and I don't think they're being downloaded. So I'm gonna check that out in the next month and put it in the budget, probably, and that's $3,500. But if you know anything about oxygen levels, we are probably a recipe for disaster, both in the summer, in July and August, when the lake gets so warm and green and algaed. And then in the winter too, in January and February, when, if we get a bad winter with lots of snow and or lots of ice, the oxygen levels drop way down and we could have a fish kill like there's no tomorrow. So um, I'll do a little bit more work on that and talk to you next month. But now I ask if we could spend that $546 on lower Tainter and compare the readings on nitrogen and chlorophyll and phosphorus against my readings on the upper Tainter. And I'll field any questions you got.
Why did they eliminate the site?
That's a great question. They said that locations that had readings for over 3 years, they didn't feel they needed to have any more readings done, and those readings have to go in the lab. But I think the lab is overwhelmed. I just did an ice out on April 16th and for phosphorus reading, and they had it on April 17th, and they just got it posted yesterday, 5/14. So they're way behind. They've always been way behind. So I think they're just cutting out sites to free up the lab. And they won't give us anything. Al and I, you know, talked to the DNR until we're blue in the face. I'm very surprised that we got the 3 nitrogen testings for free up on the upper Tainter. So, but yeah, the lab is consistently a month behind.
So if your boat drifted down to the south end, could we get one of those readings down on the south end? When you had the 3 nitrogen readings?
No, I can't. That's a good question. They sent me the sheets and the sheets say station 173,
Okay.
215, which is upper Tainter near Northwest Landing. No, I can't. I don't dare. In fact, I'm sure we're gonna catch some flack somewhere along the line because one of our mentors says that the readings will be the same on upper and lower, and I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna be different.
Well, if I'm wrong, I will apologize and say
Yeah,
that they were right.
yeah,
If I'm right, I expect crickets.
yeah.
But
This will just be a 1 year. The free tests on upper Tainter for nitrogen are just end of June, July, and August for 1 year only. And then we would have to spend that $546. Some was $249 with Stout and $297 with Stevens Point.
and I'm assuming that we take the lower Tainter, the 297, that's gonna become a part of our budget then, at a yearly.
We can do that.
And Chuck and I have talked about this a little bit, just, and this is where it comes into the water quality, committee. If, in the future, if we're going to take and, push, whether it be some legislative money or whether it be some bigger grants, we're gonna have to have some hard data. The better hard data that we have, the better chances that we're successful. And so, part of this whole strategic planning process has been about creating data sets that, really are going to take and push our agenda down the road, as opposed to being swimming in data and having data go all over the place. And so, I think it's important that we have quality data. The DNR has a lot of data, but I think that if we start to take and start writing an aquatic plant management plan that separates the upper and lower, I think we have to start looking at upper and lower as 2 potential different entities. I think and we have to be able to address people like Pete that lives down on the channel towards the end. And I think as a board, we need to know how that water is different than out in front of Chuck's or Grant's place, and we need to know our lake and be able to have the hard data on that. And so that's kind of where we're going with all of this.
Yeah, just as a side note to all this too, I have done a couple of water temperature tests in upper and lower Tainter, and the water is a degree or two warmer by the time it gets down to lower Tainter.
Yeah.
So, and the clarity,
There's a reason why we don't have the weed beds
yeah,
down by us.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the light that you guys have on the upper end, but
So do we need to approve this money so we can do this year?
yep.
yeah.
Okay,
That would be my request to you is, Chuck, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to spend $249 with UW Stout and then 297 with UW Stevens Point on water samples. Total $546 this year.
It's not a budgeted item, but I'm sure we have money in the budget that we can use.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the expenditure of $546 for water testing, an expansion of a water testing site and more different water tests. Any further discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I have on my agenda approval of the grant application to Muskies Inc.
That's correct.
Okay. Tom isn't here tonight, but he has written a grant. I just wanted to put this on as an agenda item. I think it's a grant for $2,000. And I wanted your approval to approve the grant for stocking muskies. So that would be in addition to the 4,000 that we have, plus the addition of the 1,000 from I believe it was Dunn County Fish and Game. So the grant is pretty simple. Tom didn't get a chance to send it out, but it's he and I went over it. It basically says, how does this fit into your organization? And so it's for $2,000. Any questions? Any motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the grant application of Muskies Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the application to Muskies Inc. By the way, this is not the Chippewa Valley chapter, it's the national chapter for $2,000. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, approval of Commissioner Porter's resignation, then a discussion. There's actually two parts to this. Then there's a discussion on the appointment process to fill that vacancy. So is there a motion to approve Jerry's resignation?
Make a motion.
There's been a motion to approve the resignation of Jerry Porter from this board. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second to approve Commissioner Porter's resignation. If any further discussion? The only thing that I would say is that publicly, I'd like to thank Jerry for his service to the community and all he's done. He was a good board member and his input will be missed. And we wish him luck in his future endeavors. Further, no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of the appointment process. And I put this in the board packet I sent out to you. I've had some thoughts on this. The bylaws and chapter 33 are in sync. That says that the board chair appoints and you approve. Well, I'd kind of like to take and widen that out just a little bit. And what we would do is what I'm proposing to do is take in those people that are interested, submit a letter of interest to myself. Okay? And that letter of interest would be very similar to what we have for people seeking election. You know, we have people do 5 signatures and, you know, basically explain what contributions that they're gonna make to the board. Well, we wouldn't have them do the 5 signatures. But we would have them, and I would collect that. I would take, and they would send those letters of interest to me by June 16th, okay? And then what we would do is we would invite all the people that are interested to come to the board meeting. We'd give them 2 minutes to speak at the board meeting. And then we would vote as to who you would approve on the board meeting, or who you would approve as an appointment. All right. The other thing is that it would be a secret ballot, just like at the board meeting, or just like at the annual meeting. But, and school boards do this too. It's one of the few times that you do it. But you have to announce the results. So in other words, it's not, it gets kind of clunky when you're voting with 3 people that you really like. And in a public setting like that. And so you put your name in a paper and it, but then you do have to publicize what the vote was. That, oh, and the other thing is that position would then be to fill the rest of Jerry's term. It would be to the end of, it would be to the 2026 annual meeting. Comments, questions, opinions? Shoot holes in it.
There's no way through the, I guess I haven't reviewed the bylaws, but to put this vote to the annual meeting. Like have these, if we had multiple interested parties, could, instead of the board appointing the replacement, have the district vote at the annual meeting? Or is
No.
that too far out and not against the bylaws?
That's against the bylaws and it's actually it's against the statute.
Okay.
The statute says to appoint, the chair would appoint. Now, if we were like if Jerry's term ended this year,
Oh,
we
I see.
wouldn't have to, because
Sure.
you'd get 1 month in before you'd have to go to to an election. And so by the time you got somebody up to speed, it would hinder you. But because you're appointing for essentially what, a year and
Yeah, 15 months or something.
15 months, that would, I'm thinking, unless you want to go with 6 people for a year or 15 months, it's probably not a wise
No, I
choice.
think if people want to do it, we should let them do it.
Right.
Take the help.
So does that person then, was Jerry the vice
Yeah,
chair?
we wouldn't
vice-
have a vice chair then. We
Okay.
would wait until we reorganize. And by the way, instead, we don't have to have a vice chair. I mean, we've just kind of decided that in case something happens to me,
Yeah,
whoever, then there's always somebody that's gonna step in line to run the meeting.
Take care of yourself.
Jerry always liked fast meetings, just so that you know. He always told me, Oh, yeah, I ran that meeting for 35 minutes. You take an hour and a half. But you always seem to have the meetings that there were no speakers at, so.
Yeah, that helps a little.
So what do you think?
Yeah, it's a little departure from the bylaws, but I
What do you
mean,
mean?
I mean, doing the multiple, I mean, the way the bylaw states it, it's your, as the chair, it's your pleasure to appoint somebody.
Right,
But I mean, ultimately, you're still appointing them, even if
right,
we're filtering those candidates
right.
through kind of like doing it that way.
Well, the,
Cause you'll still at the end appoint them. So
right, right, but
doesn't matter how we get there.
you still have to approve them too.
Mhm.
And so I just think to set precedent, it would, I guess I'd like to open it, to be more open about it than just somebody talking to me about it.
What I would suggest then is potentially then amending the bylaws to put that process in there. Cause it's gonna happen again. Somebody's going to either move away or something's gonna happen and there'll be another vacancy. So it'd be just wise if we all think this is a good, process, let's spell it out.
Well, let's try it this time, and if
Yeah.
we don't like it, then we can always put a policy in, that this is how we're going to define the chair picks,
Mhm.
okay? Because what I really don't want to do is, I don't want it seen, I don't want it just to be just me doing it. And
Mhm.
then you guys rubber stamping what happens if Adam has somebody that, he thinks would be a good person to get on the board and I don't, and I just,
Yep, I think that it's close enough to what's in the bylaws, but if we think the process worked well, we should probably at the annual meeting amend the bylaws to incorporate that
Okay.
process.
But on a
Okay.
technicality, we could vote 5-1. And if
Yes.
Adam's the one, he could appoint. the person
Yes,
he wants.
yeah, exactly. True, that's the way the bylaw is. We could all vote. And you could say, gosh, I really don't want that person on here and I'm just gonna use my king's pen to strike everybody out.
yeah, I just, I think it's wise to be more inclusive than less.
I think the process that you laid out makes a lot of common sense. And I think Jim's right too, that if it works good this time around, we should just rewrite the bylaw quick and
Okay.
be done
Yeah.
with it. So
We can do that and rewrite it at for the annual meeting, because those bylaws have to be approved at the annual meeting. We can, if we like it, we can explain it and then we can just create that as a policy too.
Okay, so you gotta help your secretary and revisit what the actual motion would be to,
Okay, the motion, I'll make the motion that we approve letters of interest for those people that would like to be considered, well, let me shorten it up. I make a motion that we extend an invitation to people who would like to serve as a commissioner for the remainder of Jerry's term, that those letters of interest are submitted to me by May 16th. Or you can shorten that as letters of.
May 16th,
Uh,
like tomorrow?
June
June
16th.
16th, excuse me. That's like 2 days before the board meeting. And they can submit that to me in an email. And we'll get that out on Facebook, and I'll put that out in a email broadcast.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have we already seconded and,
No,
okay, I will second it then.
okay. That's a motion. Did you get it, Grant? Did
By the,
you-
by the way, Grant,
I'm getting there.
I, with Zoom, I'm using the AI companion. So after the meeting's done, I'll email you what it and
Okay.
that helped Tom immensely that
Yeah,
with his
I-
notes,
I
so.
do not want to be the secretary.
No, and it won't distinguish any of the speakers because it'll just say Tainter Lake Board, but
Yeah.
at least it'll have all the documentation, and it does a pretty good job, so.
Yeah, I'm gaining a new respect for what Tom does here. It's actually gotta keep up, so.
Did you get it? Did you want to read it back?
Yeah, I'll read it. So we're making a motion to approve letters of interest for people who want to be considered for replacing Commissioner Porter. Letters of interest need to be submitted to Brown via email by June 16th.
Correct.
Good.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Did you get the second on that?
Yeah.
Who seconded it?
Did the motion.
You did the motion. Was there a second? I don't think there was a second. All
I'll do the second if that's
Okay.
okay.
right. Motion is second. All those, any further discussion? Confusion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of budget proposals and the budget, the 25-26 budget. Now, here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if we want to have just a budget meeting.
I think that's a good idea. I know that, the county, did that, let's see, I want to say 6 years ago, something like that, and they would have like a all day, for them, it'd be an all day meeting, but it was only about the budget.
Right.
And it made it a lot easier to kind of dive in and do it. Obviously, it wouldn't take us all day to do that, but it would take us about the length of time of a normal meeting and basically be prepared. I mean, it works well at the county. I don't know why it wouldn't work well for this organization.
Well, I just think that we can have a discussion, we can put the table so we can face each other, people can come with their ideas. Then, what I was thinking is Grant and I can rough a budget, a budget out with the, some of the operating costs and those kinds of things. And then everybody can kind of bring their ideas. And then we can, from there, we can kind of put our ideas together. I'm sure we're gonna have more budget ideas than what we're gonna have the will to levy. And so we can kind of massage that budget into place. And then that way we get two kicks at the cat, because then by the June meeting, if anybody's rethought something or it needs to do a little more work, we can resolve that by that June meeting, and then I can put that out in, because we gotta do a mailing. I try to get that mailing or the addresses and the budget in the format that we have to publish it in. I get that out to the Colfax Messenger and have that postcard printed up or that mailer printed up and then sent out with the annual meeting agenda and the budget and those kinds of things. But I have to have that done by July 1. So what do your calendars look like for Thursday, June 5th?
Thinking same time, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Could we do it
Yeah.
at the Tainter Town Hall?
That'd be kind of nice if we could.
That's I don't have it with me,
I
but
can look on their
somebody,
site. They post I think they have the,
town board meeting on that Thursday, Tuesday and Thursday, I think. Can you bring it up, Alan?
I
Calendar.
think that's on their calendar, yeah.
How about June 4th?
Let me just check. The town board meeting's on the 12th, so there's nothing on the 5th.
That gives us 2 weeks then to our regular board meeting, so that gives us plenty of time to. You want to do it that way? And then it gives us a little time to put stuff together. Because I know the first budget I put together, I'd really like it if we put it together.
Yeah.
I mean, that was only 15,000. Now we're starting to get up there with $60,000 budgets, so I'd really like to have a good discussion and, can you check?
Yeah, I can do the reservation if you want me to.
I would love it.
Yep,
You
I'm in. We're
seem
in.
to have, good relationship with Doris. I don't know her, so.
Yeah, they've been good about letting us use the building.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Good. Well, let's do it that way. Bring your budget ideas. Grant and I, in between now and then, we'll put some documents together. Basically, but save your, income statement, that you have, here. And I will send you, a copy of last year's budget so that you have something to look at. It's a spreadsheet. Can you all use Excel?
Yep.
Okay, I'll send it in the form of Excel. It'll be a workbook, and so there'll be multiple pages to it.
Either that, or we could do it as a Google Sheets doc, and then people could then enter if they needed to.
It's been a couple years since I've done sheets. But,
But or we can do the Excel
no,
doc.
let's try sheets. That's okay. I'll see.
So if you sent me the original document as Excel, I can import it into Sheets.
And then give everybody the permissions so that they can
Mhm.
add and subtract and work
Yeah.
on it. Okay. All right. I will send that to you.
Cause then otherwise we're playing,
Well,
telephone and someone will. Or some, unless you're the keeper of that one document and all the changes have to go through you, but.
right. No, I like it. I just sent an email out to some people for the newsletter that wanted to get involved in it. And then I think a draft in Google Docs that we can all share, that would be a lot easier than shooting stuff back and forth.
Mhm.
Because I do have a life outside of the Lake District. According to my wife, I don't, but that's okay.
I was thinking. the same thing.
So we're good with that. We're gonna set that up for the, June 5th at 5:00. All right. I'll get I gotta get that posted tonight. But it's gonna be, pretty general. And Jim, I'll send it to you then to shoot on the, website. And, while Tom's gone, could you put that on Facebook?
Yeah, and just however we wanna, the language, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it real general.
Yeah.
Because it's really gonna be mostly a conversation. And I'll break it down into expenditures and revenue and things like that. Grant, while we're talking about this, I did get the current values from the county.
Okay,
I
perfect.
will send you a copy of that, but
Okay,
for some reason, it got put in the spam folder or something like that, and they just found it, but they got it to me, so we're good. Anything else about budget? Oh. Yes, it'll be a public meeting. No, it'll be at the Tainter Town Hall. That's the game plan for now. So the next meeting date is, June 19th. We're down to 2 meetings before the annual meeting. Well, actually 3 if you count the budget meeting. Are there any agenda items?
Yeah, Al, can you put the carp bounty results?
Okay,
That should be in now. And sometime before the meeting is over, can I just talk a little bit about that? The carp bounty thing, or is it, am I too
well,
late?
why don't you talk about it in the context that we're putting it as an agenda item
Okay, okay, right now?
right now? You're
Okay.
it.
All right, we're gonna put the carp bounty results as an agenda item for next month. And right now, to kind of fill you in where we're at, we're out at about 25 different locations in town, just with the colorful flyer like that. And I've got my name on the bottom, tear offs on it, and been getting quite a few calls. And just to kind of fill you in and warn you a little bit, we're gonna have 3 to 4 groups of up to 3 to 4 boats, including some airboats out there. So it might be a little loud, but they're gonna kill some carp. There's some serious bow hunters out there. And I've been popping it out there on Facebook too, and in the Tainter Lakes and reports activities Facebook site and the Menominee one, and been taking volunteers, and I've got quite a few the last 2 days, and out of 20 slots, I've got only about 8 to fill, and I think I can get them filled without calling you guys. But if you hear from me in a week or 10 days, you'll know why it is. And I think we're gonna do well. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is the heavy heat that we had this week. I don't know exactly where we are in the spawning cycle. And the cold, I don't know how that's gonna affect the carp. If their spawning cycle hopefully will shut down a little bit and then rev back up for those 2 weekends on the May 30th weekend and the June 6th weekend. But things are looking pretty good, and Al and I and Tom might meet one more time, right?
Yes, I think that's the game
And
plan.
I was thinking maybe we could meet right at Elk Point and see what logistically we have to do, but it's coming together pretty good.
Good.
Do you guys see the email or the message that we got about WQOW?
Yep. Yep.
I
Yeah,
was wondering about what was going on. Did we respond to them?
Tom wrote her a great email, and
Okay.
then she actually put it out. It's out there if you Google WQOW Carp Bounty Program, you'll see a nice write-up for us out there. I don't know if we were on the air with it, but we got a nice 2-page write-up.
So if you want to make some beer money.
I got a team. I'm putting a team together.
Oh, really? Oh, so there's some competition?
We'll see. I've never done it before, but I'm trying to surround myself with some people that have.
My daughter-in-law is a good carp fisherman. I might have to stick her in there. She uses corn.
Marty Baumgartner said that the carp are rolling out near his place yesterday, and he took his spear out there, and he said there was one about a 35-pound carp that the spear bounced off. Or there's some big ones out there, man.
Yeah. Tell him to sharpen his spear. Okay, thank you. So that the carp results are on. And we've been getting a lot of interest on that. Anything else that from tonight's meeting? Oh, a budget we should approve a proposed budget.
Bob, mental note, budget for our next meeting.
Okay. Anything else? Well, if that's it, I want you guys to give me credit that there was like 9 agenda items and we're done in an hour and 50.
Speaker next month.
The speaker oh, by the way, just for everybody, the speaker next month is Andrew Shiner. He's from the Center for Limnological Research and Rehabilitation at UW Stout. So Andrew's coming. He's the one that's been, he and his co-director or whatever of that do a nice job. And so he's coming to speak. So we have a speaker lined up for next month. Okay, do I have a motion? Jim, did you motion? Or Adam, somebody?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
A motion is second to adjourn. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I.
We are adjourned.